The kingdom where the girl lived was originally peaceful, but it changed when soldiers from the neighboring country disrupted it. She was kidnapped and forced to end her happy life, becoming the wife of the prince from the empire that ruined her country. There, she was looked down upon because she came from a kingdom known for its flower power, but possessed no power at all. She was even mistaken for a maid because of her simple clothing. However, it turned out she actually possessed the extremely powerful goddess's return, but she did not use it. On the other hand, in the empire, her husband also helped her gain confidence with that terrifying power. The girl's life that should have brought happiness turned into a path full of trials and suffering on that day. The girl wore her wedding dress and looked joyful. Her family who saw her was amazed. Her mother praised her appearance. The girl named Luthier thanked her father and mother for that very beautiful dress. However, her younger siblings said it was not only the dress that was beautiful, but also her older sister. Luthier thanked Ines and Theophile for the bouquet they gave. After that, her father praised Luthier as if she had become part of the flower princess. Then, her mother asked Luthier to keep her power as a secret no matter what happened, making Theophile advise his mother that Luthier was already an adult now and he was sure his sister understood the power she held. However, her mother still felt worried. Luthier understood and said she would not show her power to anyone. Her kingdom, Florella Kingdom, was loved by flowers and protected by the flower goddess Floatia. The members of the Florellan Kingdom family had inherited a mysterious power from generation to generation to make flowers bloom through singing. Because it was blessed with the natural wealth of mountains and sea, their land was fertile. The abundance of the earth and the kindness of its people made the kingdom ruled peacefully without war for several centuries. However, that made their military capability and defense low, thus becoming the weak point of their country. However, she felt there was nothing to worry about because her people were very peaceful and warm people, even not hesitant to praise her. A man then called her. It was the man she called Ray. Luthier asked if something was wrong. However, the man only felt the girl looked so beautiful that it surprised him. Luthier asked if he felt a little nervous. Ray confirmed because Luthier looked too beautiful. Luthier also praised Ray, who looked very handsome. Luthier felt happy because her family and all the citizens of her country were celebrating their wedding. She was sure that marrying Ray would bring a bright and happy future. 6 months ago in Florella Kingdom, Ray said to Luthier that there was something he wanted to convey to the girl. Luthier asked what he wanted to convey and why Ray looked so serious. Ray then said he wanted to propose to Luthier. Luthier was shocked to hear that. She asked why Ray wanted to marry her. Ray said it was because he had feelings for Luthier. He felt troubled because he should have been clearer with Luthier since the girl was not very experienced in love matters. Meanwhile, Luthier was shocked because Ray had feelings for her. Then, Ray explained about Luthier, who had always been by his side for 5 years during his recovery in Florella, and took care of him when he felt unwell. Ray also felt happy because Luthier took him to various places when he felt better. He said he could not say when it started, but he realized that he had fallen in love with Luthier. Meanwhile, Luthier knew she would marry someone someday, but she had never considered marrying Ray. Then, Ray discussed something that seemed like calculation. That is, with their marriage, the relationship between their countries would strengthen, so it would be easy for Aresh Kingdom to protect Laudier's kingdom. Luthier knew other countries might emerge and forcibly control Florella because of their abundance. There was a kingdom behind the high mountains to the north of Florella Kingdom that prided itself on its extraordinary military strength. Thus they were seen as a long-standing threat to Florella, the Algan Empire. To protect themselves from the Algan Empire, besides facing other external threats, Florella Kingdom formed alliances with 5 neighboring countries. In return for non-aggression and defense agreements in emergencies, Florella agreed to prioritize its allies in exporting and selling harvest products at the lowest possible prices. Ray said about the increasing number of countries that disagreed lately even among allied countries. Even his father said disputes occurred more frequently, and there was an atmosphere of anxiety. When Ray was about to say about the conflict that would occur, Luthier asked if it was possible the alliance might dissolve. However, Ray asked not to discuss this further because he did not want to confuse Luthier with ambiguous information. He said to Luthier if the girl did not want to marry him, they would still always protect Florella. He did not want to ignore Laudier's feelings and force her to marry if the girl did not want to. Luthier said it was not a problem, and she truly understood that. She actually did not hate Ray and actually cared for him, as if he was her own older brother. Lutier admitted that Ray's confession surprised her, but it made her happy. Actually, that was what made Lutier also never consider marrying him. So, she said to Ray that she could not give a direct answer. Lutier asked for time from Ray because this did not only concern herself. Ray allowed it and would wait for Laudier's answer. When telling her family, Ines and her mother were shocked. Meanwhile, her father had already guessed this would finally happen. He said marriage with the prince from Aresh would be a blessing of prosperity for Florella. Ines convinced because it was also Ray who would definitely make Lutier happy. Lutier said she had thought about it and felt it would be good for her kingdom to get support from Aresh kingdom, so she would marry Ray. Actually, Lutier did not know if she had romantic feelings for Ray, but she was sure if they became husband and wife, she would be able to fall in love with him. After that, she told Ray, so they now wore wedding clothes. They received praise as a matching couple and looked very happy. On the other hand, someone was hurrying while riding a horse. He felt there was no time to waste because he had to immediately inform the king of Florella and Lutier about the future of their kingdom. Meanwhile, during Laudier's wedding held in a chapel deep inside that stretched behind the royal castle, the priest asked them to recite vows to the goddess Floatia, who protected Florella kingdom. When the priest asked Ray to recite the vow, the man said it. Then when it was Laudier's turn, the girl suddenly fell silent and wondered if it was really okay for her to gain happiness in this marriage. Even though she had destroyed something precious, she was not sure she had the right to be happy. At that moment, she remembered her past with a boy who asked her to stop and helped her. She snapped out of it when someone called her name. When Lutier was about to answer, suddenly something caught attention, making Ray wonder what happened. A knight asked the king to escape. The king asked what commotion was happening and why he was injured. The knight reported that troops from the Algan Empire appeared out of nowhere, and the riot he suspected was orchestrated by imperial soldiers erupted in the kingdom's capital. He suspected the enemy was waiting to carry out an ambush. That information shocked the king. Then the knight said they would find this chapel soon and asked the king to leave immediately and not waste time. However, it was too late because a knight attacked his back, making the knight fall and shocking everyone. The king asked who that person was. However, the person told him to be silent if the king cared about his life. Meanwhile, Lutier panicked, but Ray held her back so she would not approach the man. The knights asked them all to be silent. After that, the man announced to them that from now on Florella Kingdom was under the control of the Olga Empire, under Emperor Sardis Alicia Ket Olga. He said resistance would not be tolerated and told them to surrender if they wanted to live. Meanwhile, Lutier wondered what was happening. Suddenly Ray shouted, calling Lutier. Meanwhile, his people asked Ray to leave this country quickly. They asked him to avoid capture by the Olga Empire. However, Ray said he could not leave Lutier. However, his guards asked him to surrender because they could not bring along someone who would only be a burden. Their words made Lutier fall silent. Meanwhile, Ray promised to help the girl no matter what happened and would also save this country. Meanwhile, Lutier wondered what was best for her to do while the soldiers asked them to stop. However, they managed to escape, but the Algan Knights felt it was okay because they were not from Florella. Meanwhile, Lutier felt she needed to get out of here to call for help. However, a knight noticed her movement and said to her that running away was useless. When the knight was about to swing his sword at her, when Lutier thought she should not die here, suddenly someone blocked the knight's attack. The knight asked why the man named Lord Julius stopped him from teaching Lutier a lesson. Meanwhile, Lutier wondered who that person was. Meanwhile, the person told the knight not to make unnecessary sacrifices and leave this to him. The knight obeyed his master. Meanwhile, Lutier felt relieved because she was still alive. Then, the person approached Lutier and asked if she was hurt, making the girl surprised. However, Lutier said she could stand on her own. After that, the man asked Lutier not to resist as long as the girl obeyed what was ordered and guaranteed Laudier's and her family's safety. He also said for the good of this country, he urged Lutier not to take reckless actions for now or in the future. Meanwhile, Lutier stared at him sharply. The girl had tried to suppress her frustration because she was powerless. Moreover, her first marriage ended in the worst way that had ever happened. Some time after that incident, in the Florella Kingdom Palace, Theophile asked about the results of negotiations with the Algan Empire. The king informed that to keep the kingdom of Florella under imperial control, they demanded Lutier to marry their fourth prince. The king felt very guilty toward Lutier because they did not have military strength to fight them. However, Lutier understood, and if it was for the kingdom, she had no choice. Meanwhile, Ines asked if her father meant to hand over her older sister as a hostage to them. She would not accept that. However, the king asked her to understand. However, Ines could not accept this marriage or being under the Algan Empire. She swore for Lutier and her people she would do anything. Lutier thanked Ines for her kindness, but she said she could handle it. She promised she would not fail to protect Florella because that was her duty as a princess. Meanwhile, in the Algan Empire, someone asked permission to enter, shocking Lutier. The person came apologizing because their introduction was done on the day of their wedding. Meanwhile, Lutier could not believe her eyes. Meanwhile, the masked man introduced himself as the fourth prince of the Algan Empire, Julius Alicia Noah Olga. Lutier was shocked because that person was the masked man from the chapel. She thought if only she had recited the vow, would the situation be different. Meanwhile, Julius informed about the preparations that had been completed and invited Lutier to go together. Lutier realized this was her time. She then swore to the goddess Floatia that she would never surrender to the Algan Empire. Roses and black lilies, along with a black dress, made Lutier feel she was almost like a dead flower. Meanwhile, Julius showed Lutier the way. At that moment, Lutier thought she would never be able to see the face of the man she would marry. She guessed maybe the man would not take off his mask during the ceremony. Lutier then remembered the man's words earlier. The girl truly did not understand the purpose of holding this symbolic marriage, but she still went through with it. The nobles talked about it, not believing that she was a princess from a country. While their marriage began, Lutier observed Sardis, the emperor of the Algan Empire. She really hated that man because he had destroyed Florella's peace. She knew from rumors that Sardis was an arrogant and cruel emperor and did not hesitate to execute people who had served him for years. She was not surprised if Sardis would kill her without hesitation if she resisted, so, for now, she would stay silent for the time being. Meanwhile, Julius silently observed Lutier. Sardis then called Lutier by her new name. He said from today Lutier became a member of the Algan royal family and hoped the girl would behave accordingly, because the citizens and her family in Florella would be executed if she did anything that endangered the Algan Empire. So, she accepted Sardis's words. Sardis felt relieved because he had been worried that a member of the royal family from the flower country would have her mind filled only with beautiful flowers. However, he said that was not the issue. He said he had heard that the Florellan royal family possessed power that could revive flowers through song. That shocked Lutier, and she wondered why that person was discussing it now. However, Lutier confirmed it. Sardis said it was a good opportunity, then threw a rose at her. Sardis ordered her to make the rose bloom. Lutier thought if she sang now using a little of the power she possessed, she could definitely make all the plants go wild and drive everyone out of this room. However, she could not break the promise she made to her mother. Because she possessed Goddess's Return, a very strong power that rarely occurred in the history of the royal family, and if that power was revealed, it would definitely be used for terrible things. Her mother said possessing great power would not only hurt the people around her, but also Lutier herself. So, she asked her to promise not to use it in front of anyone. Besides that, Lutier also did not want to hurt others like she did in the past. Sardis asked what was wrong with Lutier because he heard the flower-blooming song power from the royal family was something noble and sometimes performed in ceremonies. Sardis mocked whether Lutier could not make a flower bloom. He mocked Lutier, who could not perform the song correctly, and the only thing her people could do. Those words shocked Lutier, while the other nobles laughed at her. Lutier was angry because Sardis not only insulted her, but also every generation of the royal family. She did not care what happened anymore and would show the power of Florella. However, suddenly Julius asked permission from the king and said his wife was currently in mental and physical exhaustion after these past few days. He made a request whether the king could allow Lutier to rest earlier today. Lutier was shocked and wondered what happened to her because she almost did something that could put her family and people in danger. Sardis then asked Julius to make sure to bind his wife tightly to teach her a lesson so she would not refuse him. Julius obeyed and said he would take action if Lutier intended to commit any violence toward this country or toward Sardis. After that, Julius explained his wife was also just a girl without guards here, so he was sure Lutier would not do anything that could put the king in danger. Sardis felt strange with his optimistic opinion because Julius was a very cautious person. However, Julius reasoned he only said this after considering Laudier's condition. After that, he bid farewell to Sardis and took Lutier away. Meanwhile, Lutier hoped she could release Julius's hand right now. After that, Julius revealed he did not know how great the power possessed by Lutier was. However, he knew it was strong enough to be called Goddess's Return. He explained he had heard the term Flower Princess used on her. Lutier was shocked and wondered how Julius knew she was the Flower Princess. Then, Julius said it was a warning and advice for Lutier to live calmly in this country by never showing her power in front of anyone. Julius did not know what Lutier was thinking, but the flowers were not guilty. Hearing that shocked Lutier. Meanwhile, Julius asked the girl to wait there for a moment to call a maid who would take Lutier to the girl's bed. Meanwhile, Lutier thought about Julius's words because she had never realized something so important even though she grew up in a place called the Kingdom of Flowers. She felt strange with Julius, who even though he was her enemy, still saved her. The man also seemed to care about flowers. She was curious about what was in the man's mind. However, Lutier suddenly thought about her family and also Ray, whom she missed. However, she did not want to cry or show more of her weakness. On the other hand, Julius asked the maid to make sure Lutier knew the location of her room. After that, he took off his mask. Julius guessed that the power of the Flower Princess was still alive and strong. That night in her room, Lutier knew she and the man would do that tonight. However, she wanted to run away even though she could not, because if she did, Florella would be in danger. When someone knocked on her door, Lutier allowed him to enter. A maid entered her room, then asked her if Lutier would allow her to perform the bridal bedchamber on her wedding night. Lutier was shocked to hear that. Then the maid explained whether she should sing a song to liven up the atmosphere for the two of them. Meanwhile, Lutier wondered who the girl was. Julius, who appeared, told her that was not what he ordered the maid named Ariana. He said he only wanted the maid to come with him because he was worried Lutier would be afraid if the man came alone. He thanked Ariana and allowed her to leave now. Meanwhile, Ariana understood, but because this was Julius's precious wedding night, she could not just leave without doing anything. That made Lutier curious about what feeling she was feeling right now. Meanwhile, Julius, who felt he had no other choice, rang a bell that made a man come to him. Julius apologized because he called the man named Crest so late, then asked him to take Ariana away. Crest apologized for his incompetent older sister's actions, making Ariana shocked. Then he took Ariana away, even though the girl protested his actions. Meanwhile, Crest felt an incompetent family member did not deserve anything. After that, Lutier asked who the two of them were. Julius apologized for the earlier commotion and explained that non-stop chatter was that maid's weakness. After that, he explained the two of them were Laudier's servants, with Ariana being a high-skilled and trustworthy handmaid, while Crest, although he was a man of few words and gave an untouchable aura, but possessed the best swordsmanship ability in the Empire. Julius hoped the two of them could make Lutier feel at ease in the palace. Lutier agreed, even though that was the last thing on her mind. When she thought about what would happen tonight, the girl felt trembling. Julius, who noticed it, offered herbal tea to the girl, making the girl surprised. Meanwhile, Julius asked her to wait a moment and made her herbal tea. Lutier observed Julius, who looked quite capable. She was curious if Julius often made tea. When Julius poured the tea, he served the tea to Lutier. When Lutier drank it, she praised Julius's tea. Julius felt happy because it suited Laudier's taste. Lutier then asked if Julius mixed the tea leaves himself. Julius confirmed it, even though Ariana always gave him an unacceptable look when he did it. Lutier then told about her younger brother, who also liked herbal tea and would always make his own mixture. Her brother was an honest and cheerful person as far as she remembered, and truly kind, and always paid attention to her. Julius asked how the child was. Meanwhile, Lutier truly did not understand the man. After that, she was shocked because she did not realize it when she just drank the tea. She asked Julius if the aromatic fragrance came from dandelion. Julius confirmed it. He added dried and chopped dandelion roots and leaves. He did it because dandelion was said to overcome fatigue and facilitate blood flow. When remembering dandelion, it made Lutier remember a dandelion garden where she used to play when she was little. She wondered with whom she played there, Ines or Ray. However, she could not remember anymore. Suddenly, she was curious about what Ray was doing because she heard from Theophile that the man had returned to his hometown safely. However, she wondered if Ray got news about her marriage and was curious if the man still cared about her. Lutier remembered his promise that he would save her and her country no matter what happened. However, she was not sure Ray could do something that could help Florella. Then, Julius offered her tea again. At that moment, Lutier remembered the person sitting in front of her was an enemy, both to her and to Florella. So, she refused Julius's offer and asked why the person did not take off his mask even on their wedding night. Lutier explained she was Julius's wife and judged the man truly impolite for not showing his face to the girl. Julius apologized to Lutier. He reasoned he should take off his mask now, but he had worn it since he was young, and it had become something he needed when interacting with others. So, he hoped Lutier would forgive him because the man would still wear it even with Lutier. Lutier understood. Then, Julius said he would sleep in the neighboring room starting now. He then informed that starting tomorrow, he would not set foot here without permission. However, if that made Lutier feel anxious, he suggested the girl lock it from inside. Lutier was shocked by his words. When Julius was about to leave, he said he would not lay a single finger on Lutier. Julius swore on Floatia, who was the flower goddess of Florella. After Julius left, Lutier felt she should have known that. Moreover, this was a political marriage arranged by the emperor. Even though she was not the only one who did not want something like this to happen. She thought maybe there was someone in Julius's heart. Lutier guessed maybe Julius had also become a victim because of this, just like the girl. However, the girl shook her head, then locked her room door. She knew that she only had herself. The next day, someone shouted her name from outside and asked if she had woken up. Lutier felt disturbed by the very loud voice. Meanwhile, Ariana, who was outside, greeted her good morning. Ariana then informed her that it was already daytime, so she felt maybe her good morning greeting was not a polite greeting. Ariana explained that she was here to help Lutier change clothes and help serve her. However, Lutier said she could do it herself. She only asked Ariana to prepare hot water for her so she could wash her face. Then, Ariana asked what breakfast Lutier wanted. Lutier asked for something light, and Ariana agreed. After preparing breakfast, Lutier observed the flowers that became her wedding bouquet. She remembered Julius's words about the flowers not being guilty. Lutier was curious if the man had placed them there as decoration. She then conveyed her apology to the flowers for treating them very roughly. Ariana, who observed it, offered to remove the flowers if Lutier did not like them. However, Lutier said it was okay. She wanted the flowers to stay there. After that, she asked what Julius was doing now. Ariana explained Julius would be working on official matters now, then told about the man who woke up every 5 in the morning and took care of various things until he went back to sleep. She said that was Julius's usual daily routine. Ariana considered it truly uninspiring. Meanwhile, Lutier thought if Julius did not expect anything from her as his wife, then what could she do for this country? Ariana then asked if Lutier had decided her plans for today. The girl said she might write a letter to her family in Florella. So, she asked Ariana to bring her a pen and writing tools. Ariana agreed, but she also gave Lutier a warning. She said that everything in her letter would truly be monitored. So, she advised Lutier not to write anything that would endanger her. Ariana explained Julius would hold all responsibility for anything Lutier did. She asked her to keep remembering that, and not do stupid things that would only get the man in trouble. Lutier felt annoyed, then said she truly understood that. 1 week later, Ariana, who met Julius, thanked the man for fulfilling her request. Meanwhile, Julius was puzzled because Ariana always said many confusing things. However, Ariana said that Julius did not see how Lutier had been these past few days. She asked if Julius really thought it was okay. Ariana discussed Lutier, who currently needed to change the atmosphere. The girl asked if Julius did not feel guilty if he made Lutier so depressed that she got sick and lost her life. Julius knew that would be a problem for the Algan Empire. Ariana was shocked, then said to leave that aside for now. Meanwhile, Lutier was reading a letter from Theophile. The letter informed about the condition of her father and mother who lost their spirit, and Ines who looked worrying because she was not like herself. However, he promised to watch over her. He also intended to beg Emperor Sardis to meet Lutier. He advised the girl to take care of herself and not try too hard. After reading it, she thought about Ines and hoped her younger sister would not do anything dangerous. Suddenly Julius came and asked if the letter from Florella was not pleasant. His sudden arrival made Julius apologize because he did not mean to surprise her. Lutier said Julius did not need to worry because she was just absorbed in reading her letter. Julius asked if it was from her parents, but Lutier said it was from her older brother, Theophile. After that, Julius asked if Lutier wanted to go outside. Lutier was shocked, while Julius felt maybe the girl was interested in seeing the city and the daily life of the Algan people. When getting the chance to leave the castle, Lutier did not expect it meant only the two of her with Julius. When seeing his clothes, Lutier asked if the man was sure to go wearing that. Julius said the city people would be intimidated if they knew he was the prince. Lutier commented that appearance actually made Julius stand out. The man explained the Algan Empire was a country that was cold every year, so he would not attract attention if he wore a cloak. Meanwhile, Lutier said wouldn't it be safer to ask Crest to accompany them as a bodyguard. Moreover, being alone with Julius made her feel very nervous. The man said it would not be a problem because the city they would visit was Zazaballard, which had good protection. Julius promised if anything happened, then he would take responsibility and protect Lutier. Lutier was shocked because for a moment she felt calm. However, the girl was still shocked that Sardis gave her permission to go. Julius confirmed that Lutier was forbidden to go anywhere alone. The girl guessed if that was the reason Julius also joined, to watch over her. The man confirmed it. Suddenly someone called Julius, shocking Lutier. The man commented on Julius's dark and gloomy appearance as usual. The person was Lord Almet, the first prince of the Algan Empire. Julius greeted Almet. He commented on the unusual sight of the man being in the palace at hours like this. Almet explained his dinner yesterday felt very boring, so he returned immediately. Then he noticed Lutier. Almet thought Lutier was a maid, but it turned out she was Julius's wife. He had heard that Lutier confined herself in the palace, making him insult her because Julius found someone as pitiful as the man. When the people laughed at her, Lutier felt annoyed and wanted to retaliate. However, the girl felt it would be better for Florella if she held herself back. Meanwhile, Julius said he did not care what his older brother said to him. However, he asked Almet to restrain himself from belittling his wife. Julius explained that Lutier was brought to this foreign place without knowing anyone there, so it was natural if she felt depressed. Then he felt he should not expect anything from someone who surrounded himself with people to understand the feeling of loneliness. Almet was not pleased. He asked if Julius meant to insult him. However, Julius said he did not mean that at all. The man only suggested not to belittle others because it could affect his position. Almet retaliated by asking Julius to understand his position because he was only a child of a concubine. He said someone like him should never be allowed to stay in the palace. When the man wanted to insult him again, suddenly someone asked about the commotion there. Sardis asked which idiot was shouting in the hall. His arrival shocked Almet. Meanwhile, Julius greeted him, then asked if the emperor had just returned from an early inspection. Sardis confirmed that he had just visited Territory Vera. He said it was better to come earlier because there would be less commotion. Julius, who realized the area was being hit by an epidemic, asked about the condition of the place. Sardis said he had prepared doctors and medicine there well, so the spread was gradually starting to subside. Julius felt relieved hearing it, but he wondered if it was important for Sardis to do the inspection himself. The emperor asked if the man thought he would die from an epidemic disease. Moreover, he was also sure Julius had done a lot of work, so he had no other choice but to go himself. The man said he would go there if the emperor asked him. Sardis understood Julius would sacrifice his sleep time for it, but he felt it would be a bigger problem if the man collapsed from overworking. Meanwhile, Lutier was puzzled because Sardis, whom she knew, was an arrogant and cruel person. However, someone like that personally checked an area affected by disease. Sardis then asked if the two of them would go for a stroll. Julius confirmed it. The emperor said Julius should leave immediately before people gave him more work. After that, he told Lutier to observe the life of the people in this country using her own eyes and head. The girl thought about the emperor's words. After that, Almet wanted to talk about Lutier and Julius, but Sardis refused because he was still busy and had no time for this. Meanwhile, Julius invited Lutier to leave immediately. Lutier was still thinking about the fact that Sardis had invaded Florella Kingdom. She could not hold back her hatred toward the emperor. However, she wanted to know more about this country, even though she felt maybe this meant she was betraying Florella. When in Zazaballard, Lutier did not expect at all that the place would be more lively than she imagined. The girl asked if there was a special event today. Julius answered there was none today because the harvest festival had just ended, so today was just usual busyness. Luthier asked if he was sure this was the usual view on Zazaballard streets. Julius asked if Luthier liked it. However, the girl answered she did not at all, even though actually she was too carried away by the atmosphere. Julius informed that Zazaballard was quite hilly and asked the girl to tell him if she felt tired. However, Luthier said she was fine and it was okay to walk. The man felt relieved hearing it, then explained that the Algan Empire had many mountains, so their cities and villages were in mountainous areas like this. Luthier was shocked because this was very different from the kingdom of Florella, which was mostly flat. The girl realized there were many differences, but she noticed the cheerfulness there. Julius asked Luthier to tell him anything if there was something the girl wanted. Luthier thanked him. However, she was fine because she only wanted to visit shops that sold food and daily necessities used by the people living here. Julius obeyed. Then he offered to walk a little to the city center. When in the meat shop, Luthier commented on the agricultural products that did not look fresh, and the meat was not fresh. Julius explained because of the country's condition, they mostly ate dried meat or smoked meat and dried vegetables and fruits. He informed their staple food, which was sweet potato, rye, and potatoes distributed at the cheapest possible prices. Luthier understood it was done so people with low income could still eat. Julius said fulfilling the basic needs of the residents was Sardis's highest priority. When the girl asked if it was true, the man said he was sure that goods circulating in the empire were far fewer compared to Florella, whose trade was more developed. However, they still intended to provide all the goods needed by citizens so they could live without difficulty. Luthier was puzzled because she thought the Algan Empire traded with nearby countries. Julius explained their trading partners came from distant countries, even though geographically they had difficulty interacting with them often. When seeing the fabric there, Luthier felt amazed by its embroidery that had a flower motif. She admitted she had never seen embroidery that was so alive and intricate in Florella. Julius said because their climate was cold, the Algan Empire had high ability in producing good textiles like carpets or winter clothing. Luthier asked if they exported these products. However, the man said they did not because most of the land here was barren, so they had difficulty growing cotton. That was the reason they imported most fabrics. Because they were very valuable, they had a custom to repair and reuse fabric if torn and damaged. The man was sure that was why their embroidery skills were trained very well. Meanwhile, Luthier was shocked because all this time she had only heard about the Algan Empire without trying to find out herself. She thought if she had tried harder, she could learn about it now. Julius observed Luthier, while the girl paid respect to a woman there. She then started feeling the weather cooling when the sun began to set, making Julius immediately drape a cloth on her, shocking Luthier. She was shocked because it was the shawl from earlier. The man asked her to take it. However, Luthier felt there was no reason for her to accept a gift. Julius asked her to consider it as thanks for praising the handicrafts of the Algan Empire. Luthier asked if Julius really cared about this country. Julius confirmed because this country and its people meant a lot to him. Hearing that, Luthier conveyed her puzzlement why this prosperous and peaceful country invaded Florella. After that, Luthier remembered her childhood when she asked her mother what a queen could do if the king was the one who ruled the country. Her mother explained that being king was an important position, but also made one lonely. She asked Luthier who she thought could be her closest supporter. Luthier answered it was the queen. Her mother confirmed it. She said it was not easy to be by her husband's side and support him no matter what happened. However, according to her, it was a happy position that could only be fulfilled by a wife. When remembering that, Luthier then knew what she could do as Julius's wife. After that day, in front of his residence, Julius asked Crest to rest. When he entered his residence, Luthier welcomed him, shocking the man. When Luthier offered him dinner, Julius asked back if the girl had not slept at all. Luthier answered she was a person who firmly believed in going to bed early, waking up early. But she felt there was still a little time before sleeping soon. Even though the real reason was because all this time she had only hidden in her room and acted as if not noticing when the man returned. Meanwhile, Julius was puzzled by her actions. However, Luthier cut off his words and conveyed some sudden requests to the man. Julius asked what the requests were and would try his best to fulfill the girl's requests. Luthier then made a request to plant some flowers on the balcony. Julius was puzzled. He said he did not want to stop the girl, but he knew the Algan Empire had a very cold climate, so he was afraid of the fate of the flowers. Luthier said there were some flowers that were resistant to cold temperatures. She said even if they wilted, then she would think of others. For sure, the girl would not give up without trying just because something looked impossible from the start. Julius understood and allowed Luthier to do what she wanted. Luthier thanked him. Then she conveyed one more request to him. The girl asked Julius to stop calling her princess because she was no longer a princess. Moreover, the man was now her husband, so he could just call her Luthier. When Julius conveyed his puzzlement, suddenly Luthier asked him to stop acting very formal toward her all the time. The girl realized that boundaries in their relationship were important. However, she felt too much distance could make them feel uncomfortable with each other. Julius was shocked and finally accepted it, making Luthier feel happy even though she felt very strange. After that, the girl conveyed that she was very hungry. She asked Julius if he thought it was possible to have dinner earlier. Julius was shocked when he heard Luthier had not eaten at all. The girl said she realized it might be difficult to eat 3 meals a day together, but if it was possible she wanted to do it as long as it did not disturb Julius. Julius said he had no problem. However, the problem was he woke up very early for training, so lunch was not too important. He also always came home late. That was the reason he thought it might be difficult for them to find time to eat together. Luthier then offered to make time in the morning, while for lunch and dinner, she asked the man to arrange according to plan. However, Julius said he could not ask Luthier to adjust to his schedule. Luthier said she was used to waking up early to take care of the garden, so it was not a problem for her. She then suggested they could have lunch and dinner together if their schedules matched. Luthier asked if that was okay. Julius approved it. However, he also conveyed that he also had a request. He also asked the same thing from Luthier. He wanted the girl not to act formal when talking to him. When they looked at each other, Luthier felt the hatred that was in her heart had not disappeared. However, she still accepted Julius's request. She felt at least she no longer felt depressed and confined herself in the room. She would make this time her first step in this country. Then, she suggested Julius call Ariana to deliver some dinner. Luthier checked the soil, which was not too bad because it had already been maintained and fertilized. Meanwhile, the palace gardener said the girl would dirty her hands. Paget, who felt worried, scolded Luthier again. However, the girl did not listen to him, making Paget worried. He asked Crest if Luthier would continue her walk. Meanwhile, the girl was comparing Florella, where she was surrounded by flowers every day. But here there were only a few that grew in the greenhouse usually used as palace decorations. She felt time and finances were needed to buy or grow flowers in this country. She thought even if they went to the city, she would not be able to find many shops that sold them. Luthier now understood why flowers were considered valuable commodities to be displayed like jewelry or paintings. While Crest and Paget were still watching the girl, her guard warned her about the stairs in front of her and asked Luthier to watch her step. The girl only realized it then and thanked Crest for telling her. After that, she conveyed that the challenging aspect of growing flowers here was the climate. She said it was not only because the sunlight was weak, but its duration was not too long either. Especially because tomorrow snow would start falling, she wanted them to plant flowers that were resistant to the cold. Meanwhile, Crest warned Luthier about the tree branches in front of her. The girl was still muttering about the flowers that she might be able to plant and that might be able to grow there. Meanwhile, Crest warned her about the puddle of water. However, Luthier was still focused on questioning various flowers that could be planted. She also considered the possibility of potted plants, which might be better than plants grown in the ground. Her attitude made the people nervous, while Luthier finally felt confident. Paget and Crest only stayed silent watching her. Then, the girl asked Paget if he had pansy and viola seeds. Paget apologized. He explained that the only seeds and seedlings they had were those already used for palace decorations. He explained he did not have pansy or viola seeds at all. Hearing that, Luthier finally understood why the flowers in the palace were only roses and orchids. Then, Paget offered to bring already grown ones instead of just seeds. Luthier asked if he really could do that. However, the girl actually preferred to start from seeds. So if possible, she asked for some unused pots and a little soil and fertilizer. Paget agreed. However, he was curious why Luthier wanted to do all that. The girl was puzzled. She answered that she would grow some plants in pots. Paget asked if she would do it from seeds. He was puzzled because someone like Luthier, who was the prince's wife, would do that. The girl said she indeed planned to grow flowers on her room's balcony. She felt it would be wonderful if she could decorate with flowers she grew herself. Paget confirmed it. However, he felt the soil and mud would make her dirty. That question made Luthier puzzled. Paget then explained that among the nobility, especially the ladies, that was something disliked. Luthier became puzzled by that. Meanwhile, suddenly someone snapped nearby. It was a noble lady scolding a servant for ruining her new dress. Luthier recognized the girl as Almet's fiancée. Meanwhile, the servant apologized to the girl named Lady Rosalind. Luthier tried to greet Rosalind and asked if she was taking a walk. Rosalind, realizing the girl, looked down on her and even thought she was a maid because she was dressed like one. Hearing that, Luthier felt Rosalind was very suitable for Almet. Rosalind then asked if the girl was also joining the gardeners to clean it. However, Luthier said she did not want to. She was only interested in the plants because she came from Florella. So, she was only observing the gardener's work. Rosalind asked if that meant the royal family also took care of flowers in Laudier's kingdom. She felt it was completely unimaginable. Rosalind said she came from the Fidio family, which was the most prestigious family in this country and held the highest honor from the emperor himself. She said she never let herself do dirty work, explaining that her family was the owner of land with iron ore, which naturally made them valuable in the emperor's eyes. Luthier was puzzled because the girl made it sound like her own achievement. After that, Luthier praised the clothes worn by Rosalind. Rosalind also admitted that it was beautiful because it was made only for herself. Rosalind guessed Luthier also liked prettier dresses. However, Luthier did not admit it because she preferred clothes that made her easy to move, especially since she did not have anything very elegant. Rosalind asked why Luthier did not just ask her husband. However, suddenly she apologized because she remembered Luthier married Julius, who was not the type of person who could fulfill a request. She said she would not be able to survive if she were in Laudier's position. Rosalind imagined being engaged to that masked man made her shudder, making Luthier feel annoyed. Meanwhile, Rosalind boasted about Almet, who was her fiancé. Luthier actually confirmed Rosalind's words that she never could know what Julius was thinking because of his gloominess and mask. However, she knew that Julius always put the Algan Empire first and did not waste his time lazing around. She felt it was unfair to judge Julius only from his appearance. Luthier felt embarrassed. Then she responded to Rosalind by praising her kindness. She asked permission to admire that dress-up close to use as her reference in the future. When Rosalind allowed it, Luthier immediately looked at the dress. She found a large caterpillar on that dress. Luthier said maybe the caterpillar thought Rosalind's dress was leaves because of its green color. Meanwhile, Rosalind panicked when she saw it and hurriedly ran away. Thanks to that, her servant thanked Luthier. He also apologized for dragging her into the mistake he made. However, Luthier did not mind what happened to the man because she also did it because she wanted to, especially since Rosalind had also said painful things to her. She signaled them to keep it a secret. The servants fell silent. Then a servant praised her because she was different from what they had imagined. Luthier was puzzled and asked what that meant. The man explained she was different in a positive way. The servants then explained that when they heard about a royal noble from Florella who became a member of the alliance coming, they thought Luthier might be an arrogant and haughty person. They thought they would be faced with another princess who looked down on them, especially because Florella was a member of the alliance. Paget then asked them to stop because they were being very impolite to Luthier. However, the girl felt it was okay. However, she wondered why the Algan Empire did not have a good impression of Florella. The servants explained it was not only toward Florella, but all alliance members. The man explained it was difficult for them to feel goodwill toward those who considered them enemies and mercilessly drove them away. Hearing that, Luthier wanted to ask again. However, suddenly Crest told her that it was time to let them return to work because they could be scolded by the officials and nobles if they did not finish it. Luthier understood and apologized for that. Luthier asked if she could come back to the courtyard. Paget agreed. He said they would wait for her. Meanwhile, Luthier thought about the servants' words, making her wonder what they meant. Crest asked if Luthier would return to her room. Luthier confirmed it. She also thought about visiting the library and looking for some books about horticulture. On the way, she felt she heard a voice. Luthier asked the child if something was wrong. The crying little girl looked at her, making the girl wonder why she was crying. The child said she was crying because of her flower. Luthier asked if it was a cineraria. The little girl confirmed it. She said the flowers did not want to bloom, even though she had tried very hard to take care of them so they could bloom today. When the child cried again, Lutier and Crest were confused. Lutier then asked if the flower would bloom today. She was also sure maybe it would bloom tomorrow or the day after. However, the girl felt it was already very late because her mother's birthday was today. Lutier understood that the child wanted to give a beautiful cineraria as a gift. The child confirmed it because her mother liked flowers, so she wanted to give her some that bloomed perfectly. Lutier understood that feeling because she had experienced it when she was little. When she cried, Theophile and her maid were worried because of it. Lutier told the girl that she understood her feelings and asked permission to help the flowers. She asked for the flower pot from the child. When she got the pot, she said she would sing for these flowers. The child was puzzled because Lutier would sing for them. Lutier confirmed it. She said it was a tradition from her country. Lutier remembered her promise to never use her power in front of people. However, she would try to sing just a little to help the flowers bloom. She had done this since she was little, and it should be okay if she stayed calm while singing. She knew the flower-blooming song was very valuable for the Florellan royal family. So, they spent a lot of time learning songs rather than etiquette, and singing was made a pride and proof of a Florellan royal. Lutier was sure many generations of her royal family were proud and happy to sing. However, not for Lutier herself. The girl was different from her father and her brothers, or anyone who was part of the royal family. She could sing without guilt when she was young, but her hatred grew as she got older. Especially on that day, when she hurt something precious. Meanwhile, the little child watched Lutier, who was preparing to sing. When Lutier sang, the girl convinced herself it would be okay. She hoped the flowers would bloom in all their splendor. She uttered a prayer so that the beauty of the flower would fill their hearts, and because of the little girl's hard struggle to grow them. When the flowers started to bloom, the little child was shocked. Meanwhile, Crest only watched. Lutier begged the flower very much. After she finished, the child was amazed at Lutier. She asked if the girl was a magician or something. However, Lutier said it was not magic, because she only helped the flowers. She said the flowers bloomed because the child had worked hard to take care of them until today. She explained the flowers responded to that feeling. The child wondered if they really bloomed because she had really worked hard to take care of them. Lutier confirmed it. She also advised the little girl to keep taking good care of them even after giving them to her mother as a gift. The child promised and thanked Lutier. After that, when Lutier was about to give an order to Crest, suddenly Julius appeared. Julius ordered Crest to take the child back to the servants' quarters while he would stay with his wife. When Crest obeyed his order, Lutier remembered Julius's words forbidding her from using her power in front of others if she wanted to live peacefully in this country. She had violated the warning given by the man. So, she thought maybe Julius would get angry. However, the man instead thanked her, shocking Lutier. The girl asked why Julius thanked her. The man said it was natural for a prince to say thank you to someone who helped his people when they cried. However, Lutier had thought Julius would scold her because she used her power. The man apologized for making her anxious like that. However, he did it because there was a possibility that her strong power could be used for painful things. Especially since Julius was also forced to take steps if Lutier intended to endanger the Algan Empire. That was why he warned Lutier not to use it from the beginning. He guessed that was also the reason why Lutier and her family had hidden that power for a long time. Lutier said that only close associates of the Florellan royal family knew about Goddess's return. So, she was curious where Julius learned about the power they possessed. Julius said he only got a chance to study it in the past. The man said as long as Lutier did not act evil toward this country, he had no desire to forbid her from singing. However, Lutier said she would try not to use her power as much as possible from now on. She felt she should not use something very dangerous, which she could not even control. Julius compared it to a sword, shocking the girl. The man explained if he did not know how to use a sword, someone could hurt himself and others. However, if he could learn it well, a sword could become a tool to protect what was precious. Lutier asked if Julius was suggesting she control her power while like practicing with a sword. The man said he was only concluding from observation. Julius felt if Lutier faced and learned to use that gift, it would be more beneficial than scary. Especially hiding it all this time could make it more dangerous when Lutier was alone in an emergency. Lutier was shocked because no one had ever said that to her before. She thought the right thing to do was to hide it and not use it. Julius apologized for being too forceful. However, Lutier appreciated the man's opinion. Lutier felt happy because even though it might not happen quickly, she felt she could face this power one day. Not only to keep herself safe, but also to live as herself. Meanwhile, in a mansion, a mysterious person felt satisfied when he saw the person he had been waiting for finally arrive. He asked if the person could not look so sour because it ruined his appetite. However, he never expected, even though his older sister was taken by their neighbor, that the person would go this far to help him. Meanwhile, Ines only stared silently at the person. Julius informed her he had something for Lutier. Lutier was shocked he brought candied flowers. The girl asked if it came from Florella. The man said he had just passed by it when he went for a survey. Julius said they never made products like this, but there was a small amount currently in circulation. Lutier was curious if that was the reason the Algan Empire invaded Florella. Julius apologized because he did not think carefully. He felt he should have realized that maybe this would offend her. Lutier said she was happy because she could have a small part of her hometown. So, she thanked the man. When Lutier ate it, she felt happy. Meanwhile, Julius blushed because of it. The girl then asked if there was a good place to hide in the palace. Julius asked if something had happened. Lutier told about when she played hide-and-seek with some noble children today. She said they were very good at hiding because they had known the palace since they were little. So, she could not find them even though they always seemed to know her location quickly when she hid. Julius now understood that was what Madame Riddell was worried about. Madame Riddell had said that Lutier did not know what it meant to be a noblewoman. Meanwhile, Lutier realized she would probably get another lesson when she met her later. Julius said that Madame Riddell also always scolded him, shocking Lutier. The man said when he became too focused on his training or studies until he forgot to eat or drink, the woman always scolded him about it. Lutier felt that did not sound like Julius. At that moment, she realized that she and Julius had started to talk normally lately, even though they might not laugh loudly like her and Ray. However, for some reason, Lutier felt talking to him was not boring or painful. That night, Lutier accidentally touched a branch. Seeing the wound, Lutier was sure Ariana would give her advice if she saw it. She had prepared herself if caught walking around the garden without permission. However, her thoughts were always in negative things when she was in her room, because it was difficult to think of good things about those who were enemies and mercilessly ignored her. However, she felt the answer to that question was starting to be answered. At that moment, she found Almet talking to Sardis about her wasting valuable resources. Lutier hid and eavesdropped on their conversation. Sardis told Almet to be quiet because the matter had been resolved. However, Almet begged his father. He asked him to hand over the kingdom of Florella to him. He would show him the most extraordinary results. Those words made Lutier fall silent. Meanwhile, Sardis told him that he would not change his mind. When Almet was about to give another reason, Sardis said that for the time being they were still monitoring the kingdom of Florella and had not taken direct action. However, Almet said they had finally obtained a country under their control. He wondered why they did not use that land and its people for their own benefit. Those words made Lutier fall silent. Meanwhile, Sardis asked Almet to stop. He told him to stop talking when he did not even understand anything about politics or economy. He said he would rather give the position of controlling Florella to Julius before giving it to Almet. After feeling there was nothing more to discuss, he told Almet to leave. However, Almet could not accept that. He felt maintaining the current situation felt unreasonable. Sardis asked if the child intended to oppose him. Almet said he did not intend to because that was impossible. Sardis said if the man did it, then he would send him to study abroad for a long enough time like he had done to them. Almet felt annoyed, then bid farewell to leave. He felt annoyed because his father wanted to send him to study abroad. However, he would never do something like that would force him to leave this country, because this country was his. Then, Almet said he would contact them again. Lutier, who watched him, guessed something, but suddenly Sardis scolded her who was behind there. Lutier said good evening to the emperor. Meanwhile, Sardis only said if the girl wanted to leave, just leave. However, if she wanted to stay, he allowed her to sit. Sardis said finding Lutier in front of him was disturbing and made him lose his appetite to drink. Lutier understood, then sat beside him. Lutier expressed that from what she saw, Sardis did not seem to be surrounded by any bodyguards. She questioned the possibility that the man could be attacked from nowhere. Sardis said that he was not so weak that he could be killed by someone like Lutier. He was sure Lutier would be killed first even before she touched Sardis. Lutier knew Sardis hated weak people. She knew the girl would definitely be first on that list, so with Lautier's death, it would definitely be celebrated by the man. Sardis said if he really hated useless people like Lutier said, then he would have abandoned the people who had messed up the empire for a long time. Lutier asked why he did it. She thought becoming the embodiment of power would be an attractive position for many people. Sardis explained they could use their influence and do whatever they wanted. However, those actions would cause their country to fall in less than a week or their death at the hands of rebel masses. The man confirmed Lautier's words that he hated inability. However, on the other hand, he valued the talents of individuals regardless of their social class. Sardis also explained that he respected and hoped to protect the lives of people who might not have talent, but still struggled with themselves to survive. Lutier remembered Julius's words about Sardis earlier. The girl asked if that was the reason the man wanted to protect the people of the Algan Empire. Sardis called her question a stupid question. He knew there were people who did not deserve to be protected. However, as long as they were citizens of Olga, the Empire must treat them equally. After hearing that, Lutier was curious why he invaded Florella. Sardis said at first the invasion was intended as an all-out war that placed Florella under their power. They believed it was a simpler and more beneficial action. However, Julius opposed it. Lutier was puzzled because the man opposed it. Julius explained that war would not only impoverish the Algan Empire, but would also cause many casualties in Florella. That became the reason they devised a plan to secretly deploy troops and kidnap the royal family in one sweep. Then, Sardis asked Lutier, as the former princess of Florella Kingdom, about the reason why Olga was never involved in the alliance. Lutier was shocked by his question. She then answered that the reason was Sardis, who did not want to become part of the alliance. She said that was what had been taught in Florella. Sardis said that was the official reason. However, the real reason was very ordinary. He explained that other countries viewed the Algan Empire as an unprofitable country. They were a snowy country with no power worth talking about. So, naturally, they only thought of Olga like that. However, now they had achieved stability thanks to their iron ore production. However, when the alliance was first formed, they were still a poor and weak country that was only under their feet. Lutier was shocked because it was completely different from the history she knew. The girl then asked Sardis if what he said was really the truth. Sardis explained that the previous emperor, who was also his father, he felt his actions were stupid by asking for help from those countries on several occasions and only ended with all his requests ignored. That was also the reason why he worked hard for years to negotiate trade with smaller countries outside the alliance so the Algan Empire could survive on its own. Sardis then repeated Lautier's question about the reason they invaded Florella. He answered that it was done to get benefits from that kingdom for the people of the Algan Empire. Lutier knew before this. She could not believe anything Sardis said. However, now she knew better. She wondered if this was something her father and the others had been wary of. She was curious about Ray, especially remembering that the alliance basically revolved around Aresh. With that, Lutier found it difficult to believe that a member of the royal family like Ray did not know about this. When Lutier felt a chill, Sardis threw a pouch at her, shocking the girl. Lutier was shocked when she realized it was a very warm, heated stone. When Lutier wanted to say something, suddenly Sardis said he had heard the Alliance report that the Algan Empire was home to cold-hearted and cruel people. However, he was curious who was actually cold-hearted and cruel. After that, Sardis commented on Lutier, who occasionally wore that rather plain shawl. He wondered why Lutier did not adorn herself with more appropriate clothes. Lutier explained that Julius gave it to her when they went to the city that day. That happened because Lutier thought the embroidery and stitching of the fabric was very beautiful. Sardis was puzzled because it was almost laughable to hear someone from Florella who lived surrounded by flowers use that word to describe something so cheap. However, he reminded Lutier to take good care of it. The girl laughed after hearing it and promised she would take care of it. Then Sardis asked if Julius had not returned from his inspection yet. Lutier said he had not returned. The girl said her husband left with regret, but he still had not come back. Sardis understood that. He said that Julius had a bad habit of burdening everything on himself. He said the man was sensitive to evil intentions since he was young and suppressed his emotions for this country and its people. However, Julius was weak, because he was not cruel enough. Sardis realized as the man grew older, Julius learned as a leader who sometimes had to sacrifice for the good of many people. Lutyr felt Sardis's way of speaking almost sounded as if he wanted Julius as the next successor as emperor. Lutyr asked if Sardis was considering Julius and not Almut as his successor. Sardis said he had to stab that disturbing and disgusting thing that blocked his view. His words made Lutyr puzzled, while Sardis said that Julius had come for him. Julius, who was there, felt relieved to find the two of them here. Julius said his bodyguards were looking for Sardis. He begged him to return to his residence. Sardis said he would return shortly. He asked Julius to let him drink for a moment in front of those roses that never bloomed. Julius advised him to drink only in moderation, making Sardis tell him to stop nagging. Meanwhile, Lutyr thanked him for Julius's arrival. Lutyr asked him if Sardis would not mind being given one more question. She asked why the emperor allowed her with confidence in this matter. Sardis said he had already told the girl earlier that the man respected everyone who struggled to survive. Lutyr was shocked because she had just realized. Then she said thank you for the heated stone he gave. Meanwhile, Sardis shooed them away with a hand gesture. After that, in the corridor, Julius revealed that he was shocked when he found Lutyr not in her room. Even Ariana and Crest said they did not know where the girl had gone. Lutyr apologized because she only wanted to take a walk, and when she walked behind the garden, she happened to meet Sardis. The girl then asked Julius about how mysterious Sardis was as a person. She felt Sardis could be very cold at times, but she also felt something warm from inside him. The girl felt it was very contradictory. Julius also felt the same after being with him for years. The man said that the emperor could be very cold as a person, but he was also an honorable emperor. Lutyr asked how Sardis was as a father. Julius felt by considering his position, he was sure that Sardis was far different from a normal father. However, the man respected him as his father too. Lutyr felt relieved. Then she asked if Julius could tell her about his mother if he was willing. The man answered that his mother had passed away 10 years ago. Lutyr felt guilty, but Julius told her not to worry about it because it was not a secret or anything. Julius explained his mother came from another country. She was a gentle-hearted woman, but also strong-willed. His mother liked snow and would act almost like a child every time it fell in the courtyard. Lutyr felt very sad because she did not have the chance to meet Julius's mother. Julius also felt that the two of them might have gotten along because his mother also liked growing flowers. After hearing that, Lutyr remembered Sardis discussing the roses that never bloomed. She asked if the emperor meant that. Julius explained there was a group of white roses planted around the place where Lutyr met Sardis. The man said the emperor took good care of them, but they still had not bloomed for years now. Julius also doubted they would ever bloom again and considered there was no point for a flower that could not bloom. However, Lutyr was sure they would bloom. The girl said as long as they had not wilted, one day they would definitely bloom again. She would also ask the emperor for permission to take care of those flowers. Lutyr then said if one day those roses bloomed, she wanted to see them together with Julius. Julius was shocked by those words, then thanked Lutyr. The man was also impatient to enjoy them together with the girl. Lutyr also said that she was impatient for that.